Man is not made to worship what is made. Enjoy it? Yes. Have a good time. The problem is that we move from enjoyment to extolling, and that's a serious flaw in the human condition. We reject God and we worship what he has made. This has been the reality of the human race since our beginning. If we will not worship God, we will worship things that God has made. Mankind has a worship problem. Fundamentally, that's our problem. It is not homosexuality. It is not transgenderism or gender dysphoria or alcoholism or lust or pride or ambition or arrogance or all those. Fundamentally, the scripture says here in Romans that the number one problem we have is that we have misplaced worship. Now, let me talk about worship because some of you are under the impression that worship is only what we do for about 10 to 15 minutes in the beginning of our services. No, that is singing. And you can sing in worship, but you can live in worship. You can purchase in worship. You can spend your money in worship. And here's what worship really is. It comes from an Old English word. Worship comes from an Old English word called worthship. Think about that word worth. What are you worth? What is worth it to you? What is so worth it to you that you will surrender your rights, your money, your time to have it? And whatever that thing or that person is that you identify as the thing that brings you worth, that is your God. That is the source of your significance. That is the source of your identity. This thing or this person in my life brings me self-worth. We are all worshipers. Everyone's a worshiper. Everyone is looking for something to give them worth. And if it's not God, it'll be what he has made. For centuries in this country and for centuries in this culture, and by culture I mean the West, Europe, and America, we have worshiped other things outside of us. We have found our worth in possessions. We will worship the latest car or the bigger house, or we have worshiped profit. Because evidently it's whoever has money never has money enough. We need more, we need more, we need more. Or we will worship people. People, we will worship people. I want to say to people who worship people, have you ever met people? For almost a century, humankind in the West has worshiped things outside of itself for worth, for identity, for status. But we are in a very unique place in history where we no longer worship the things that are outside of us. Now we worship the things that are inside of us. Paul says to Timothy, he says, this is gonna mark the end days. Watch this. Verse 1 of 2 Timothy chapter 3, understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers or worshipers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unpleasable, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. The top of the list though, lovers of self. I am the determiner of my own existence. You know, I want to prove it to you in just real quick. For decades in this country, the number one enemy of science, according to the scientists, has been people of faith. You foolish, religious, fairy tale people. How dare you deny scientific fact because of what you foolhardily believe? That has been the argument from the radical scientists out there. Now, science is not opposed by people of faith. Now it is opposed by people of feeling. If science fails to prove that there is no homosexual gene, there is no transsexual gene or transgender gene, the person who feels that way simply denies the science. Why? Because self, ladies and gentlemen, has become the determiner of our own existence. And the mantra of our modern age is, don't tell me what to do, think, or be. I am whatever I say I am, because this is how I feel. The Bible calls that lovers of self rather than lovers of God.